Hello, this is DreamCap, and welcome to yet another DCS video. Today we're going to have a look at the A-4E Skyhawk community mod for DCS. This community mod is completely free and is available for download. I have provided the download link and installation notes below in the description. And in today's video, we're going to have a look at basic familiarization, startup, taxi takeoff, and landing. Enjoy! So here we are in the A-4E community mod cockpit, and can I just say, for a community mod, for a free mod, this is some very good work. Very nice rendering. You'll find in operating the A-4E that it is not unlike some of the other commercially available aircraft in DCS, such as the F-5E or the C-101. Many features are very similar. To that effect, we'll have a look at how to start up the aircraft, and the first thing we want to do is to connect the ground power. That will give us a little hover cart down here.
Copy.
The iconic little yellow bullet shape. We can hear it spooling up, and as it gets to full power, we now have power to the aircraft. We can test it using this button right here at the center. The next thing we want to do is to switch on the INU to standby mode in order to let all the gyros and stuff align themselves. We'll also switch the radar to standby mode, the ground radar. This is conceptually similar to the radar in the F-5E. We'll also set the internal lights down here, and we'll set the external lights. So we'll turn on taxi light, add a collision light, fuselage, wing and tail. We'll leave them on steady for now. And when we switch the master light on, which is on throttle, we get all the lights going. So while we're waiting for the INU to get up, we might as well start the engine. So I'm going to push the big old start button right here, and I am then going to monitor this RPM percentage gauge. So click, and we see that the percentage start to rise somewhere between 5 and 10%. We will right click throttle to get the ignition going, and then it'll continue to rise, and somewhere between 15 and 20%. We'll right click again to bring it into idle, and then just wait a few more seconds for the engine to get up to above 50%, at which point the internal generator will kick in and take over power delivery to the aircraft. There we go. We see external temp coming up to about 300, a little over. We're started up, and we'll disconnect ground power.
Chief, turn off the ground power.
So it will spool back down.
Copy.
And then it'll disconnect and disappear.
Ground power is now off.
There. So we'll close the canopy. There we go. Nice and quiet. Get ourselves properly situated in the seat. So with the aircraft fully started up, we're now gonna set the INU and get our waypoints going. So I'm gonna switch it over to land, and I'm also gonna switch on the waypoint system. And we see here our present position with degrees and minutes. And we also see our destination with degrees and minutes. And we can set up to 2 waypoints in this aircraft, D1 and D2. And these can be set using these push buttons, so we can turn them to whatever we want to, basically. So I'm going to leave it on D1 for now. And I'm also over here on the navigation panel, going to switch the navigation computer up, and that will make this needle turn towards the first waypoint. If we need, we can also set up TACAN. I am currently based at Kutaisi, and we have a TACAN of 44. So I will turn the system on to there, 44. And we should have a TACAN as well. Although right now we're actually not in range. I believe this revetment is actually stopping the signal. So we'll go back to navigation computer for now. We'll also turn on the radio. And that is pretty much it. What is left is to set the flaps, which you can see over here, to half. So you'll see there that we set them to takeoff. And I'm also going to arm the spoilers. And these will extend, like now when I have idle power. And you'll see if I push the power up a bit, they're gonna and that is going to help me stop a bit quicker as I come back in for a landing. But before we do that, we're going to take this one up into the air. So we'll start by taxiing out to the runway. We're going to make a right here. Another thing this has, which is similar to the F5, is that taxi power is pretty low. You can go with 60 to 65% once you get it running. It is, in essence, a carrier-capable aircraft, even though everything is not implemented. So that also means it has a very tight turning radius at low speeds. Obviously, at higher speeds, you could either upset the aircraft or just slide on the nose wheels. So refrain from sharp turns at high speeds, obviously. So as we are coming up on the runway, I'm going to have a look at the trim. And you can see the trim settings if I come to complete stop. you can see the trim settings down here. So what we want to do is nose left and right, keep it centered, and nose up and down. I go up to about 4 degrees or 4 units nose up, and that'll actually let me come off the runway. Once I reach pretty much takeoff speed, I won't even have to rotate. So let's push on up to runway and get into position. Double check flaps are good. Turn on to center line. Okay, power up. And full power, brakes off. And we'll keep an eye on the speedometer, which is over here on the left hand side. You see we very quickly get a nose up attitude, and we're airborne. Gear up, flaps up, and start trimming. Obviously this aircraft is a very basic one, so you need to trim it a lot unless you have the autopilot engaged, which I will cover in a later video. And there we are up and running, 350 knots and airborne. Once in the air, the A4 is very nimble, and if I do a full left stick here, you'll see that the roll rate is absolutely incredible. So I'll just come around here for a downwind turn. And we'll pass the airfield here. And I'm gonna pull off on the power and get back down to a more manageable speed. So we'll just make a quick pattern here and then come back down to a landing configuration. And once again, unless you have autopilot or dampener on, you need to trim a whole lot. $300. $250, gear coming out. Extra gear is gonna take down the aerodynamics even further, so we're gonna lose speed. I'm gonna lose some altitude because I'm a bit high for this approach. There we go. Apply some air brake. $200, flaps coming out. Gonna balloon just a bit, and it's gonna be a late touchdown, but that'll be okay. Nose up, nose up, nose up. Ka-dunk, ka-dunk. And we're down. And as you can see now, I have the spoilers fully extended. Brake. she pretty much stops on a dime. So those are the basics of getting the A-4E Skyhawk community mod up into the air and then safely back down onto the ground. This is a very, very fun aircraft to fly. It is really a hot rod, and it is truly spectacular in aerobatics and in low-level attack. I believe we're going to have a lot of fun with this module. So I hope you find this entertaining. I hope you find this video useful. And have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good, well, whatever.